Story 1. I moved into Riverside Apartments about a year ago when I landed my first job out of college. It's a decent complex, nothing fancy, but clean and affordable with a good mix of young professionals and families. The management is pretty hands-off, which most of us appreciate. They handle the big issues but don't micromanage how we live our lives. My apartment is on the second floor, and I've got a small balcony that faces the courtyard. It's not much, but it's perfect for drying clothes when the weather's nice. The complex allows clotheslines and drying racks on balconies, as long as they're not visible from the street, which mine isn't. I'd been living there for about 8 months when the weirdness started. I came home from work on a Tuesday to find a yellow piece of paper taped to my balcony door. At first glance, it looked official. It had "Community Violation Notice" printed at the top in bold letters. The notice claimed that my drying rack was in violation of community standards and constituted an aesthetic disturbance to other residents. It demanded that I remove the rack within 48 hours or face a $50 fine. I read it 3 times, completely confused. I'd never received any kind of violation notice before, and I was pretty sure my lease allowed balcony drying racks. Plus, the language seemed off. Aesthetic disturbance didn't sound like something a property management company would write. I took the notice down to the leasing office to ask about it. "Leasing manager, I'm sorry, what kind of notice?" "Me, a community violation notice. Someone taped it to my balcony door saying my drying rack is against the rules." She looked at the paper and frowned. "Leasing manager, we didn't issue this. This isn't our format at all. Our violation notices are white, not yellow, and they're always delivered by hand with a signature required." Me, so this is fake. Leasing manager, looks like it. Someone's playing a prank, or they're confused about the rules. Your drying rack is perfectly fine according to your lease. I thanked her and went back to my apartment, figuring it was just some weird one-off incident. But over the next few days, I started hearing from other neighbors about similar fake notices. The woman across the hall got one about her doormat being improperly positioned. The family downstairs got one claiming their children's bikes on their balcony were a safety hazard. A guy on the 3rd floor got one about his potted plants being excessive. All the notices were on the same yellow paper with the same weird, official-sounding language. It was clear that someone was playing neighborhood vigilante. I started paying more attention to what was happening in the courtyard. That's when I noticed her. There was a woman who lived in the building across from mine who seemed to spend a lot of time on her balcony, watching everyone else. She'd stand there with her arms crossed, staring at other people's apartments like she was conducting an inspection. One evening, I was making dinner when I saw her walking around the courtyard with a clipboard. She'd stop at different balconies, look up at them, write something down, then move on. It was bizarre behavior. The next morning, I found another fake notice on my door. This one claimed that hanging laundry outside was unsanitary and lowered property values. It also mentioned that concerned residents had filed complaints. That's when I decided to document what was happening. I started taking pictures of the notices and keeping track of when they appeared. I also mentioned it to a few neighbors, and we started comparing notes. It turned out that at least 8 different apartments had received these fake violation notices over the past 2 weeks. All of them were for completely normal things: doormats, plants, children's toys, drying racks. None of them were actual lease violations. The breakthrough came when my neighbor caught her in the act. He was working from home and happened to look out his window when he saw Karen walking around the courtyard with a roll of yellow paper and a tape dispenser. She went up to his balcony and taped something to his door, then moved on to the next apartment. He immediately went outside and confronted her. "Neighbor, excuse me, what are you doing?" "Karen, I'm issuing violation notices to residents who aren't maintaining community standards." "Neighbor, are you with the management company?" "Karen, I don't need to be with management to enforce basic decency. Someone has to hold people accountable for their behavior." "Neighbor, so you're just printing fake notices and putting them on people's doors?" "Karen, they're not fake. They're legitimate community concerns. This place is turning into a slum because no one cares about appearances. My neighbor took pictures of her with the fake notices and went straight to the leasing office. The management company was not pleased. They pulled the security footage from the cameras in the courtyard, and sure enough, there was Karen on multiple days, walking around with her clipboard and fake notices, taping them to people's doors. The footage showed her tampering with at least 12 different apartments over a 3-week period. She'd even been trying door handles to see if any were unlocked. The leasing manager called me that Friday. Leasing manager, we've identified the person responsible for the fake violation notices. We're handling it internally, but I wanted to let you know that it won't be happening again. Me, what exactly was she trying to accomplish? Leasing manager, apparently, she felt that residents weren't maintaining high enough standards for the community. She took it upon herself to try to enforce rules that don't exist. A few days later, I saw Karen getting an actual violation notice, a real one on white paper, delivered by hand. One of my neighbors mentioned seeing the property manager at her door for about 20 minutes, and she looked pretty upset when he left. It turns out that Karen received a formal written warning for harassment and tampering with other residents' property. She was also put on lease probation, meaning any additional complaints about her behavior could result in eviction. The management company also sent out a notice to all residents explaining what had happened and reminding everyone that only official management can issue violation notices. But the best part was the fine. Because she'd been caught on camera tampering with multiple apartments, the management company charged her $200 for each incident, a total of over $2,000 in actual fines for her fake violation campaign. Karen tried to fight it, claiming she was just trying to improve the community. But the lease clearly states that harassment of other residents is grounds for penalties, and creating fake official documents definitely qualifies as harassment. Since then, I haven't seen her patrolling the courtyard with her clipboard. In fact, I hardly see her at all anymore. I think the reality of facing actual consequences for her fake authority trip finally sunk in. I still use my drying rack, and it's never been more satisfying to hang up laundry. Every time I see it, I remember that sometimes people who try to control others end up losing control of their own situation. The fake violation notices stopped, but the real consequences for Karen were just beginning. Story 2. I've been working as a park ranger at Mountain View State Park for about 6 years now. After I finished my degree in environmental science, this job seemed perfect. I get to spend my days outdoors, help preserve natural habitats, and educate visitors about wildlife and conservation. Most of the time, it's exactly what I hoped it would be. The park covers about 3,000 acres of forest and has 8 marked hiking trails ranging from easy half-mile walks to challenging 5-mile mountain climbs. We get thousands of visitors every year, especially during the spring and fall when the weather is perfect for hiking. My typical day involves patrolling the trails, checking on campsites, maintaining trail markers, and helping visitors with questions or minor emergencies. The job isn't always easy. We deal with everything from lost hikers to wildlife encounters to people who don't follow park rules. But in 6 years, I'd never encountered anything quite like what happened last Saturday. I was doing my morning patrol of the main visitor center area when this woman approached me. She was probably in her 50s, wearing brand new hiking gear that still had tags on some of it. Everything about her outfit screamed, expensive outdoor store shopping spree, but she had this attitude like she owned the place. Karen, excuse me, Ranger, I need you to take me on a personal guided hike to the waterfall. Me, good morning. We don't offer personal guided hikes, but the waterfall trail is well marked and pretty easy to follow. It's about a 2-mile round trip, and there are trail maps available at the visitor center. Karen, I don't think you understand. I'm not asking for a favor. I pay taxes in this state, which means I pay your salary. I'm entitled to a guided tour. I get this argument probably once a month from various visitors who think paying taxes means they get special treatment. Me, I understand you pay taxes, and we appreciate that support. But guided tours aren't part of our standard services. The trails are designed to be self-guided, and we have detailed maps and information available. Karen, this is ridiculous. What exactly do you people do all day if you're not helping taxpayers? I could report you for refusing to do your job. Me, my job involves maintaining the park, ensuring visitor safety, and protecting the natural resources. I'd be happy to show you the trail maps and give you some tips for your hike. Karen, I don't want tips. I want a guide. I specifically drove 2 hours to come here because I heard this park had excellent customer service. This is not excellent customer service. I could see this was going to be a longer conversation than I'd hoped, so I tried a different approach. Me, the waterfall trail really is very straightforward. It's marked every 50 yards with blue blazes, and there are only 2 turns along the entire route. Most people find it pretty easy to navigate. Karen, I'm not most people. I have a medical condition that makes it dangerous for me to hike alone. If something happens to me out there because you refuse to do your job, I'll sue this park system for everything it's worth. Me, if you have medical concerns about hiking alone, I'd recommend bringing a friend or family member with you. We also have some shorter, easier trails that might be more suitable. Karen, I don't need a shorter trail. I need a professional guide. That's what I'm paying for with my tax dollars. She was getting louder, and other visitors were starting to stare. I noticed a few people had their phones out, probably recording the interaction. Me, ma'am, I really wish I could help you, but personal guided tours just aren't something we offer. The trails are designed to be safe for solo hikers, and we have emergency call boxes along the main routes. Karen, fine, I'll hike by myself. But when something bad happens, remember that you had the chance to prevent it. She stormed off toward the trailhead, still muttering about taxpayer rights and poor customer service. I figured that was the end of it, but about 3 hours later, my radio crackled to life. Dispatcher, we have a 911 call reporting a lost hiker at Mountain View. Caller says she was abandoned by park staff and is stranded somewhere on the waterfall trail. My heart sank. It was probably the same woman from earlier, and if she was genuinely lost or hurt, I'd feel terrible about not going with her. Me, I'll head out to the waterfall trail and start searching. I grabbed my emergency pack and started hiking toward the waterfall, calling out periodically to see if I could locate her. But when I got to the waterfall, which is literally the end of the trail, there was no sign of anyone in distress. I was about to radio back when I heard voices coming from the trail behind me. It was a group of 3 hikers heading back toward the parking lot. Hiker 1. Hey, aren't you the ranger who was dealing with that crazy lady this morning? Me, did you see her on the trail? Hiker 2. Oh yeah, we saw her. She was sitting right by the waterfall taking selfies when we got there about an hour ago. Hiker 1. She asked us if we knew how to get back to the parking lot. We told her to just follow the blue blazes back the way she came. Pretty simple. Me, did she seem lost or distressed? Hiker 3, not at all. She seemed fine. Actually, she was on her phone the whole time, talking to someone about how she was going to teach the park service a lesson. That's when it clicked. I pulled out my GPS unit and checked my location. I was exactly 1.2 miles from the visitor center, following a clearly marked trail that led directly back to the parking lot. I radioed back to dispatch. Me, I'm at the waterfall. No sign of a lost hiker. The trail is clearly marked and leads directly back to the parking area. I think we might have a false report situation. Just then, my radio crackled again. Dispatcher, actually, we just received another call. Hiker says she found her way back to the parking lot, but wants to file a complaint about being abandoned by park staff. When I got back to the visitor center 20 minutes later, Karen was standing at the front desk with 2 police officers who had responded to her 911 call. Officer 1, are you the ranger who refused to guide this lady on her hike? Me, I explained that we don't offer personal guided tours, but I provided trail maps and safety information. Karen, he abandoned me in the wilderness. I could have died out there. I was lost for hours. Officer 2. Ma'am, you called 911 from the parking lot. How were you lost if you made it back to your car? Karen, I meant I was emotionally lost. The trauma of being abandoned made me disoriented. That's when one of the hikers I'd met on the trail walked up to us. Hiker 1, excuse me, officers. I couldn't help but overhear. I have a video of this woman at the waterfall about an hour ago. She definitely wasn't lost. He pulled out his phone and showed a video of Karen sitting calmly by the waterfall, taking pictures and talking on her phone. Hiker 1, you can hear her in the video talking about filing complaints and getting the ranger in trouble. She knew exactly where she was the whole time. The officers looked at each other, then back at Karen. Officer 1, ma'am, filing a false emergency report is a serious offense. You called 911 claiming you were lost in the woods, but this video shows you were fine and knew your location. Karen, that video is taken out of context. I was still emotionally distressed. This ranger failed in his duty to protect park visitors. Officer 2, according to our GPS records, your 911 call originated from the parking lot. You were never actually lost. One of the officers took the hiker's contact information and asked him to email the video for their records. The other officer started writing Karen a citation. Officer 1, you're being cited for filing a false emergency report. The fine is $500, and you'll need to appear in court if you want to contest it. Karen, this is insane. I'm the victim here. I pay taxes that fund this park. Officer 2, ma'am, misusing emergency services puts real people in danger. If we'd sent out a full search and rescue team based on your false report, they wouldn't have been available for actual emergencies. After the officers left, my supervisor called me over. Supervisor, I reviewed the security footage from this morning. I saw your interaction with that woman, and you handled it perfectly professionally. She's being banned from the entire state park system for 1 year. Me, the whole system. Supervisor, filing false emergency reports is taken very seriously. We can't have people making up stories to get park staff in trouble or wasting emergency resources. The ban meant Karen couldn't visit any of the 12 state parks in our region for a full year. Her information was entered into the system so gate attendants and rangers at all the parks would be alerted if she tried to visit. 2 weeks later, I heard through our radio network that she tried to visit Lakeside State Park about 30 miles away. When they scanned her license plate at the entrance gate, the system flagged her as banned, and she was turned away. The best part of the whole situation was hearing from other rangers that the video of Karen at the waterfall had been shared around the Park Service community. It became a training example of how some visitors will go to extreme lengths to try to get special treatment or get staff members in trouble. Karen never got her personal guided tour, but she did get a $500 fine, a court date, and a year-long ban from some of the most beautiful hiking spots in the state. All because she thought paying taxes entitled her to services that don't exist. Sometimes the entitled people really do get exactly what they deserve. Story 3. I've been the building manager at Riverside Apartments for about 7 years now. It's a mid-sized complex with 48 units across 3 floors, and I handle everything from maintenance requests to lease renewals to dealing with tenant complaints. Most of my residents are pretty reasonable people, young professionals, small families, retirees who've been here for years. The job has its challenges, but I generally enjoy working with people and keeping the building running smoothly. I started this job right after finishing my associate degree in business management. The previous building manager had retired, and the property owner was looking for someone who could handle both the administrative side and the day-to-day maintenance issues. It turned out to be a perfect fit for my skills, and I've built good relationships with most of the tenants over the years. The building gets mail delivery 6 days a week from the same postal worker, Marcus, who's been on this route for about 4 years. He's incredibly reliable, always friendly, and does his job professionally despite having to deal with some difficult residents occasionally. Marcus usually arrives sometime between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m., depending on how heavy the mail volume is and where our building falls in his daily route. That's apparently what caused the problem with the tenant in Unit 2B. She'd moved in about 6 months ago, and from day one, she'd been complaining about various things: the water pressure, noise from upstairs neighbors, the parking situation. But her latest obsession was the mail delivery schedule. It started about 3 weeks ago when she cornered me in the lobby one morning. "Karen, I need to talk to you about the mail situation. It's completely unacceptable." Me: "What's the problem with the mail?" Karen: "The postal worker is deliberately sabotaging my energy levels by delivering mail in the afternoon instead of the morning." I honestly thought I'd misheard her at first. Me: "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" Karen: "My mail arrives in the afternoon, which disrupts my entire daily energy flow. I need my mail delivered first thing in the morning so I can start my day with positive energy." Me: "The mail gets delivered when the postal worker arrives on his route. That's typically sometime in the early afternoon." Karen: "That's not good enough. I specifically chose this apartment because I assumed mail would be delivered in the morning like it is in civilized places." Me: "Ma'am, we don't control the Postal Service's delivery schedule. That's handled by the post office." Karen: "Well, then you need to talk to them about changing it. I pay rent here, which means I'm entitled to morning mail delivery." I tried to explain that individual buildings can't dictate postal delivery schedules, but she wasn't interested in hearing that. Karen: "This is affecting my productivity and my spiritual well-being. I do my meditation and energy work in the morning, and I need to check my mail as part of that routine." Me: "You could always check your mail in the morning to see if anything was delivered the previous day." Karen: "That doesn't work. The energy from stale mail is completely different from fresh mail." I honestly didn't know how to respond to that, so I just told her I'd look into it, hoping she'd drop the subject. But she didn't drop it. Over the next 2 weeks, she started leaving me voicemails and slipping notes under my office door about the mail energy crisis. She claimed the afternoon delivery schedule was causing her insomnia, affecting her chakras, and violating her rights as a tenant. Then last Monday, things escalated dramatically. I was in my office around noon when I heard shouting coming from the lobby area. I went to check and found Karen confronting Marcus, our postal worker, who was just trying to do his job. "Karen, you're doing this on purpose. You're deliberately coming here in the afternoon to sabotage my energy alignment." Marcus: "Ma'am, I deliver mail to this building at the same time every day. It's part of my route schedule." Karen: "Your route schedule is wrong. Normal people get their mail in the morning. You're targeting me specifically." Marcus: "I'm not targeting anyone. I have 200 addresses on my route, and I deliver to them in the order that makes the most sense logistically." Karen: "That's exactly what someone engaging in postal harassment would say." I stepped in at that point, trying to defuse the situation. Me: "Let's all calm down here. Marcus is just doing his job." Karen: "His job is supposed to serve the community. I'm part of this community, and I'm being discriminated against." Marcus: "Sir, I've been doing this route for 4 years without any problems. I don't understand what she wants me to do differently." Karen: "I want you to deliver my mail first thing in the morning before you go to any other addresses." Marcus: "Ma'am, that's not how mail routes work. I can't create a special schedule for one person." Karen: "Why not? I pay taxes. Those taxes pay your salary. You work for me." That's when I knew this was going to be a bigger problem than I'd anticipated. The next morning, I got a call from Marcus around 7 a.m. "Marcus, I'm going to be late getting to your building today. The tenant in 2B has blocked all the mailboxes with chairs." Me: "She did what?" Marcus: "There are folding chairs zip-tied to every single mailbox. I can't access any of them to deliver mail." I rushed down to the lobby and sure enough, Karen had somehow managed to secure folding chairs to every mailbox in the building. There was a handwritten sign taped to one of the chairs that read, "Mail delivery suspended until proper morning schedule is implemented." I immediately called Karen's apartment. "Me, you need to remove these chairs from the mailboxes right now." "Karen, I'm not removing anything until the Postal Service agrees to deliver my mail at an appropriate time." "Me, you're blocking mail delivery for 47 other families in this building." "Karen, sometimes you have to make sacrifices to fight injustice. They'll thank me when everyone starts getting their mail at the right time." "Me, this is illegal. You can't obstruct federal mail delivery." "Karen, I'm not obstructing anything. I'm advocating for proper service." I spent the next hour cutting zip ties and moving chairs while Karen stood in the lobby lecturing me about energy flow and postal worker accountability. Marcus was able to deliver the mail, but he warned me that if it happened again, he'd have to file a formal complaint. It happened again the next day. This time, Karen had not only blocked the mailboxes, but had also positioned herself in the lobby with a clipboard, demanding that Marcus sign some kind of petition about changing his delivery schedule. "Karen, I'm not moving until you commit to morning delivery. This is a peaceful protest." "Marcus, ma'am, you're interfering with federal mail service. I'm going to have to report this." "Karen, report me. I'm fighting for the rights of tenants everywhere who are being oppressed by arbitrary delivery schedules." That afternoon, I got a call from the postmaster at our local post office. "Postmaster, we've received a formal complaint about harassment of one of our carriers. We're going to need this situation resolved immediately, or we'll have to suspend mail delivery to your building." "Me, I understand completely. I'm working on it." "Postmaster, the tenant has also been calling our office multiple times a day demanding a personalized delivery route. She's tying up our customer service lines with complaints about energy sabotage and postal conspiracies." The next day, I had no choice but to start the eviction process. I consulted with the property owner and our legal team, and we determined that Karen's behavior constituted harassment of service workers and interference with essential services. When I served her with the eviction notice, she completely lost it. "Karen, this is retaliation. I'm being evicted for standing up for my rights." "Me, you're being evicted for repeatedly obstructing federal mail service and harassing the postal worker." "Karen, I never harassed anyone. I was advocating for better service." "Me, you blocked the mailboxes, prevented mail delivery to other residents, and have been making threatening calls to the post office." "Karen, those weren't threats. I was explaining how the current system is damaging my spiritual energy." She tried to fight the eviction in court, representing herself and arguing that she was being discriminated against for her alternative energy beliefs. The judge was not impressed with her defense, especially when the Postal Service provided documentation of her harassment and obstruction of mail delivery. "Judge, ma'am, you cannot block mail delivery to an entire building because you don't like the schedule. That's not a tenant right." "Karen, but Your Honor, the afternoon delivery is disrupting my chakra alignment." "Judge, that's not a legal concern. The eviction is upheld." Karen had to move out within 30 days. On her last day in the building, she left a 5-page letter in everyone's mailbox explaining how we were all complicit in postal energy oppression and warning us about the spiritual dangers of afternoon mail. The day after she moved out, Marcus stopped by my office. "Marcus, I've been delivering mail for 12 years, and that was definitely the strangest situation I've ever dealt with." "Me, I'm really sorry you had to go through all that." "Marcus, don't worry about it. I'm just glad I can get back to doing my job without someone yelling at me about energy sabotage." Our building's mail delivery returned to its normal, peaceful routine. The other residents were relieved that their mail service was no longer being held hostage by someone's theories about postal energy conspiracies. 6 months later, I heard through the property management network that Karen had been evicted from her next apartment for similar behavior, this time involving complaints about the UPS delivery schedule affecting her aura alignment. Some people just can't accept that the world doesn't revolve around their personal schedule and bizarre theories. Story 4. I work as an event coordinator at Magnolia Event Center, a popular venue for weddings, baby showers, and corporate functions. After 5 years in event planning, I've learned to expect the unexpected forgotten decorations, last-minute guest list changes, vendors running late, and the occasional family drama. But I never expected to deal with a complete stranger crashing a baby shower and claiming cosmic destiny brought her there. My career in event planning started somewhat accidentally. I was working as a restaurant manager when the owner asked me to help coordinate private parties in our banquet room. I discovered I had a talent for managing details, keeping events on schedule, and handling the inevitable crises that arise when you put groups of people together for celebrations. When Magnolia Event Center offered me a full-time position, I jumped at the chance to turn my organizational skills into a real career. The venue specializes in intimate celebrations, with several rooms that can accommodate anywhere from 20 to 150 guests. Our baby shower packages include table linens, centerpieces, basic decorations, and coordination with catering services. We pride ourselves on creating stress-free celebrations where families can focus on enjoying their special moments rather than worrying about logistics. The incident happened during a Saturday afternoon baby shower for a woman named Jessica. She was expecting her first child, and her sister had booked our garden room for 30 guests. The theme was soft pastels with lots of flowers, very elegant and peaceful. The decorations included white and pink table linens, floral centerpieces, and delicate paper lanterns hanging from the ceiling. I arrived at 11 a.m. to oversee setup for the 1 p.m. event. The caterer delivered a beautiful 3-tier cake decorated with buttercream flowers, and the florist arranged gorgeous centerpieces with white roses and baby pink peonies. Everything looked perfect for Jessica's celebration. Around 12:45 p.m., guests started arriving. I was stationed near the entrance, checking people in and directing them to the gift table. Most guests were family members and close friends, the kind of intimate gathering where everyone knows each other and the mother to be personally. At exactly 1:15 p.m., a woman I'd never seen before walked confidently through our front entrance like she owned the place. She wasn't carrying a gift, and she didn't match the demographic of other guests, while most attendees were women in their 20s and 30s. This woman appeared to be in her 50s and was dressed very differently from the other guests. Me. Good afternoon. Are you here for Jessica's baby shower? Karen. Of course I am. This is obviously my party. Me. I'm sorry, I don't think I understand. This is Jessica's baby shower. Are you a friend of hers? Karen. I don't know who Jessica is, but this party is clearly meant for me. The decorations, the colors, the entire vibe, it all matches my spiritual energy perfectly. This must be a cosmic mix-up. I was completely confused by her response. Me, ma'am, this is a private event for a specific person. Do you have an invitation? Karen, I don't need an invitation when the universe is clearly directing me here. These decorations are exactly what I would have chosen for my own celebration. She walked past me into the party room before I could stop her. I followed, trying to figure out how to handle this bizarre situation. Karen, hello everyone. I'm here for my party. Everything looks absolutely perfect. The guests looked around confused. Jessica, who was sitting in the guest of honor chair, looked particularly bewildered. Jessica, I'm sorry, do we know each other? Karen, we don't need to know each other in the traditional sense. The cosmic energy brought us together for this celebration. Clearly, this party was meant for both of us. Jessica's sister, this is my sister's baby shower. I planned this entire event for her. Karen, well, the universe obviously intended for me to be included. The color scheme matches my aura perfectly, and that cake has exactly the kind of spiritual energy I need right now. I approached the situation as diplomatically as possible. Me, ma'am, I think there might be some confusion. This is a private baby shower for Jessica and her invited guests. Karen, there's no confusion at all. I can feel that this party resonates with my energy field. I'm supposed to be here. Jessica, but you don't even know me. This is for my baby shower. Karen, babies are universal blessings. Your baby shower can be my spiritual celebration too. We can share the cosmic energy. Karen then walked over to the gift table, which was covered with beautifully wrapped presents for Jessica and her unborn child. Karen, I should probably open some of these gifts as practice for when I receive my own cosmic blessings. The universe wants me to experience this energy. Jessica's sister, absolutely not. Those gifts are for my sister and her baby. Karen, don't be so possessive. Material gifts are just physical manifestations of universal love. I need to connect with that energy by participating in the opening ceremony. She actually reached for one of the wrapped presents. Jessica's sister quickly moved to block her access to the gift table. Jessica's sister, you cannot touch those gifts. They don't belong to you. Karen, everything belongs to everyone in the cosmic sense. These material possessions are just temporary vessels for spiritual energy. That's when I noticed one of the guests quietly talking on her phone near the entrance. She walked over and introduced herself to me. Guest, I'm Jennifer, Jessica's cousin. I'm an off-duty police officer, and I just called this situation in. This woman is trespassing on private property. Me, thank you. I wasn't sure how to handle this situation. Jennifer approached Karen calmly but authoritatively. Jennifer, ma'am, I'm a police officer. This is a private event on private property. You need to leave immediately. Karen, you can't make me leave my own cosmic celebration. The universe brought me here for a reason. Jennifer, the universe didn't bring you here. You walked into someone else's private party without permission. That's called trespassing. Karen, this is discrimination against people who are spiritually sensitive. I have every right to be at celebrations that match my energy. Jennifer, you have no legal right to attend private events you weren't invited to, regardless of how the decorations make you feel. Karen was getting increasingly agitated. She started moving toward the beautiful 3-tier cake. Karen, if you're going to force me to leave my own cosmic party, then I'm taking some of this spiritual energy with me. She reached toward the cake like she was going to grab a handful. Jennifer immediately stepped between Karen and the dessert table. Jennifer, ma'am, if you damage any property here, you'll be charged with vandalism in addition to trespassing. Karen, that cake represents my spiritual energy. I have more right to it than these random people. Jennifer, this is your final warning. Leave voluntarily, or I'll have to place you under arrest. Karen, you can't arrest someone for following cosmic guidance. This is religious persecution. Jennifer, I can arrest someone for trespassing on private property and attempting to damage other people's belongings. Karen finally realized she wasn't going to win this confrontation, but instead of leaving quietly, she decided to go out with a dramatic finale. Karen, fine, I'll leave. But you're all blocking your own spiritual growth by rejecting cosmic synchronicity. This party would have been so much better with my elevated energy. Jennifer escorted her toward the exit, staying close enough to prevent any last-minute property damage. Karen, you people don't deserve this beautiful celebration anyway. I hope your baby shower is boring without my spiritual presence. Jessica, I think our baby shower will be just fine without someone we've never met trying to steal our cake and open our gifts. After Karen was removed from the premises, Jennifer explained that she would be filing a trespassing report. The incident would be documented, and if Karen tried to return to the venue, she could face arrest. The rest of the baby shower proceeded beautifully. The guests were able to laugh about the bizarre interruption, and it actually became a funny story that made the celebration more memorable. Jessica opened her gifts without any cosmic interference, and everyone enjoyed the cake that Karen had tried to claim as her own. Later that evening, I received a call from our venue manager. Apparently, Karen had called to complain about being discriminated against and to demand that we apologize for suppressing her spiritual rights. She also threatened to post negative reviews about our anti-cosmic policies. We documented the entire incident in our security report and added Karen to our list of individuals banned from the property. Event venues have to be safe spaces for families to celebrate their milestones without interference from strangers who think the universe owes them party invitations. The story became somewhat legendary among our staff. We now jokingly check with clients whether their color schemes might attract unwanted cosmic attention. But more seriously, it reminded us why we have security protocols and why we take trespassing seriously, even when the intruder seems more delusional than dangerous. Karen learned that feeling spiritually connected to someone else's party decorations doesn't give you the right to crash their celebration and steal their cake.